All right, everybody. Okay, so my name is Laura Luciano. I am on the board for Slow Food East End. I am what's called a governor for Slow Food New York State, and I'm on the board for Slow Food USA. Slow Food is about good, clean, and fair food for all. The East End chapter is one of the largest chapters, I'm proudly to say one of the largest chapters in the United States, with a very active membership and community. Our chef series is our fundraiser opportunity that features the great chefs and cooks from our region. All participants that we bring into your homes are donating their time to help fund and support our overarching Feed the Forks program that funds a few streams of the good work we are doing within our community, such as edible school gardens, flower power to bake bread for those in need, the Farmers Climate Disaster Relief Fund, Chefs to Schools, and our partnership with the Butterfly Effect in Riverhead that creates safe spaces for girls to dream and to succeed. Thank you all ahead of time for all of you for joining us this evening to help support these programs, and to Chef Berley and Greenport Harbor Brewery for your time, effort, and utmost care. Chef Berley is coming to us from his South Jamesport kitchen, where he will feature local ingredients for a St. Patrick's Day menu. He's going to be making braised lamb shanks with Greenport Harbor Brewery Black Duck Porter, spicy root vegetable mash, wholemeal Irish soda bread, fennel cabbage slaw with raisins and apples. Cannot wait. A little bit about Peter before we start is that he is a former executive chef of the world-renowned Angelica Kitchen, my favorite restaurant, I have to say, because I lived in the East Village, loved it, in New York City, and is the owner of the North Fork Kitchen and Garden, a culinary studio where he teaches intensive workshops on modern food craft and wood-fired bread baking and cooking. Peter's foremost concern is the development of local sustainable food systems and the fate of home cooking in America. His groundbreaking The Modern Vegetarian Kitchen received the James Beard and IACP awards. A second book, Fresh Food Fast, was chosen as one of the 25 best of 2005 by Food and Wine magazine. Peter's latest new book, The Flexitarian Table, inspired flexible meals for vegetarians, meat lovers, and everyone in between, was released in 2007. So I welcome you all tonight to hear Peter Berley with his amazing creations, and I introduce Penny, our chair, to kick us all off.
Okay.
Beautiful kitchen. I am so grateful to Chef Berley for us to open up his kitchen, his home, to make this amazing, amazing dinner. Laura, everything you said, I have to say about Peter is true. He's so exciting. He has such a love for food, a love for how it's grown, and the principles of good, clean, and fair in slow food just permeates everything he does. So it's a real treat to be here, and a real treat to bring you the St. Patrick's Day dinner. So without further ado, Peter, let's, where are we starting now? What are we gonna do first?
We're gonna start with bread.
Oh, one of my favorite foods.
So yes, we're gonna make a wholemeal Irish soda bread. Welcome, by the way. My name is Peter Berley, and it's really my pleasure to be sharing, I don't know, food crafting with you for a good cause. So to make an Irish soda bread, it's probably a gateway bread to make if you've never baked before. It's almost like making a giant muffin, because it's a bread that is not based on leavening that comes from fermentation, which is a slow process. It's based on chemical leavener, baking soda. So baking soda is what is going to make the bread rise, but it requires some acidity for that to happen. So the traditional way would be sour milk or clabbered milk or buttermilk. Okay, that's what I have here is buttermilk. The acidity in the buttermilk will act in concert with the baking soda to produce carbon dioxide and will lighten the loaf. That's the purpose of it. If you don't have buttermilk, you can still make this bread, no problem. All you need to do is acidify. You kind of make a buttermilk, which is a faux buttermilk, by combining 2 cups of milk with 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, and you'll be on your way. Very simple. If you don't have lemon juice, you could use lime juice. If you don't have lime juice, you could use a vinegar of some kind, probably a light colored vinegar, like a white wine vinegar or a rice vinegar, something like that will do the trick. Okay, you stir that together and the milk will thicken up immediately like buttermilk, and then you proceed with the recipe. So for this one, we're going to use whole wheat flour, which was ground today in my mill. I ground it up. I'm really a stickler for that.
Isn't that exciting?
So it's very fresh.
ground flour. He said that, I was all of a sudden like, oh my gosh, this is so good.
But you could use store-bought flour, no problem. I like King Arthur's great. Anyway, it is a wholemeal flour, so you want to keep that cool if you do buy it from a store. Keep it in a cool place like a refrigerator. It's a good idea. And these are just some rolled oats, which I've poured some boiling water over to soften and for them to hydrate. Okay, so I'm going to combine my flour and my salt and my baking soda. So your dry ingredients go in here. So I guess this would qualify as a 5-ingredient recipe. That's all the rage these days, right?
It is,
Wheat
yes.
flour, buttermilk, baking soda, salt, and oats, 5 ingredients.
There you go.
Okay, so this is a very hip recipe right now. And just add your buttermilk.
I see how you made the well. in the
Yeah,
middle of
well,
the
it's-
flour.
And your oats. And just give it a stir. This is really like akin to making a batter bread, you know, a muffin or anything like that. Quick bread. We are going to bake this though, as if we were baking a bread and not a muffin, in that we're going to bake it in a covered pot, which is a great thing to do because it creates steam, which helps the bread cook thoroughly and without drying out. So you can try kneading this a little bit, but it's really not that important, to tell you the truth. You just need to give it a good mix. So it's a very soft dough.
You want us, do you want them to see us or you don't care?
Yeah, they can see it, sure.
And I have one that's already baked. If you could grab it, that'd be great. It's on the plate over there. So you can kind of see where we're going with this.
This is the yummy deliciousness that will come out of
And
the
that-
oven.
And that's a smaller version of what I did here. That's about half the size of what. By the way, you can do that with this bread. All you need to do is halve the ingredients. Get half the size of it. Well,
Hey, Peter, could you explain?
Yeah.
Can you explain buttermilk again, the combo? What
Sure.
does that actually mean?
it's just basically acidifying milk. So you combine, it's basically a cup of milk to about a tablespoon of acid in the form of either citrus or
You know what
vinegar.
that is? Or why it doesn't
Let 'em
come
know.
out?
In fact, I need a little bit of
You
flour.
can now join a Zoom meeting. Show you that.
You've
Can everyone
already done
please
that.
mute?
You're in your Zoom meeting.
I have to grab flour.
I'm canceled.
So hold on a second.
Okay, so what he's going to do, which is really great, is he's gonna take this bread once it's done and put it in this great, notice it's green for St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
Nice heavy Dutch oven to create steam to bake this bread. How come you're putting it directly, you put it on the parchment paper? You're gonna put the parchment paper in there or you pull it off first?
I'm not gonna pull it off. I'm really in the habit of using parchment paper because it's a very convenient way of transferring a dough to a
Okay.
pot,
Okay.
especially if your pot's hot. It's just a very easy way because then you can just pick it up. It's really a neat little trick.
Should you
and I
preheat
see
the,
that-
would you preheat this pot first
You
or it
know-
doesn't matter?
When I bake sourdough in a pot, I preheat it.
Okay,
But for something like this, it's not that important. And I'm just gonna make an X here. Or like that.
that's it.
And then you're good to go. If you want to decorate it with a little bit of oatmeal, you can. toasted on that one I did, but
Yeah, a little bit.
I'll just place it in there. And you want your oven to be preheated, nice and hot, like 450 degrees. is
Oh,
good.
wow.
Yeah.
Hot oven.
And after about 25 minutes or so, I'll lower the temperature a little bit. It's all in your recipe and just keep baking it. And you can just bake it the whole time with the cover on. It's really easy. It takes about 40 minutes. 40 minutes.
Peter,
So
we
that's
have
what
a,
I was looking at. Do you have any questions about that? or-
I don't, Laura, are there any questions about the bread that need to be addressed?
There is a question. Do you, let's see, do you have a sourdough recipe or just some sourdough for the flour? Oh, I see. You mean a sourdough starter. Someone might be asking, I think maybe about a sourdough starter.
so
Okay.
Laura, I'm asking, does he just sub like one cup of sourdough starter or discard for the amount of flour and water? That's what I meant, sub is what I want.
You totally can do that. That's fine. If you do that, you don't really need the baking. You really don't need the buttermilk at that point because you've introduced acidity and you've introduced a leaven. And the acidity is going to react from the starter with your baking soda. So you could do this with sourdough starter, yes.
And so,
The answer is
or
yes.
Or discard too, I guess.
Yeah,
It's
well,
still discard.
that is,
Right.
yeah. You can do this with a cultured wheat dough. Not everybody has that.
Right.
So traditionally, people would use, cultured dairy, right, in lieu of a starter. So that's where the buttermilk comes in. It's cultured. It has bacteria.
Smells good.
It's lactobacilli right there from the buttermilk. You could do it with yogurt also. You could do it with kefir. Works great.
Thank you.
Perfect. All right, so we're moving on now. We're moving on to our entree, which is lamb.
This
So,
is lamb, yes,
so I
lamb.
just want to say something before we get to the lamb, because those of you who know me, you know that I'm vegetarian and not going to eat the lamb, but I'm so excited because in one of Peter's books here, The Flexitarian Table, I had asked them, well, I'm not going to eat the lamb, what could I do? And in this book, he has slow cooked lamb shanks in white wine with escarole, but also there's slow cooked red beans in white wine with escarole. So I love this book that he's taking the same flavor profiles for meat dishes and use it in vegetarian dishes. So I just had to put my plug in for my vegetarian cooking. And I've already asked Peter if he'd be willing to come back and do a vegan cooking night. And he said, yes. So we'll let you know when that's happening. So, okay, on to the lamb.
On to the lamb. Okay. So 8 Hands Farm is raising lamb, but it won't be ready until I think the end of March. So we had to buy this. We couldn't buy this lamb locally, but just a shout out to 8 Hands Farm. Also, I think
another shout out when we get to the vegetables too.
okay, great. So for the lamb, let's switch ingredients here. What I'm going to do is a little demonstration on technique.
Peppercorns, yes.
Peppercorns, please.
Butter,
Yeah.
yes now, okay.
Some salt.
Cayenne, or is that?
No,
That's
no.
none of it. Okay.
So what I have here is this another little green pot. And I'm browning lamb shank. Now, lamb shank, if for those of you who don't know, is if you imagine your ankle right over here, that's the shank, okay? And it has a tremendous amount of connective tissue, tendon, and so forth. And it's got bone. And what I recommend you do is there's 2 kinds of shanks you can get. One is the fore shank, the other is the hind shank. The fore shank are smaller, a little bit more delicate. And if you can get those, get those. I think they're really nice. And have your butcher cross-cut them into 2 or 3 pieces. So they're very neat to serve that way. I only was able to get hind shank, and they're really large. So I had a butcher cut them in half. Okay, that's what you see here. So this is 1 hind shank. Okay. Now in this pot over here, I have a almost finished dish. This is braised for about 3.5 hours. and I'll talk all about that. But we're gonna take the lamb out of this and finish the sauce, so you'll see the ending of this. The beginning of the whole process, I'm gonna show you now in this little pot. So this is the mini version. Now, the important thing with brown meats is once you want to brown them slowly and gently so that you develop what's called a fond or a foundation that's in the bottom of the pan. What the fond is made up of is all sorts of peptides and amino acids that we call umami. That's the browning of these amino acids is what umami really is. And it has tremendous flavor, right? So lamb has a good deal of fat. So you want to, after you brown, you want to discard whatever fat's left in the pan, right? So I'm going to do that. And obviously with the full version of this recipe, which is in this pot, you'd have a lot more fat than this. So this isn't that dramatic of a thing, but there you go, okay? And into this pot, I'm going to, can I have that bottle of beer over there? I'm going to deglaze the pan with this beautiful black duck porter. Okay.
And in a few minutes, then we're going to, as Peter gets this ready, after this, we're going to bring Greg on from Greenport Brewery to talk about the beer.
Yeah.
So do you want to do this now and then we'll go to Greg?
Yeah, I
Perfect.
just want to show you how to set up this dish, because the beautiful thing about braising is once you assemble it, you forget about it for about 3 hours. It's really, really a nice way to cook. And I'm sure some of you have braised before. So the elements in this braise are a little mirepoix, which will be consistent of carrots and celery and onion. You have all of this in your recipe for exact proportions, of course. But the technique is very, very simple. Once you've browned your meat, you add a little bit of, and I don't even have to add all of this because I'm doing such a small portion, but beer, this one, a whole bottle went in.
Probably save some to drink later.
Yeah, the taste with the. And then I'm just gonna layer my onions. In this case, this is a very simple braise, carrot, celery, and a few whole cloves of garlic. And I like to put in some peppercorns, just leave them whole. And this is just some homemade chicken stock. Sorry, let me get my lamb back in, and the lamb on top. This will need a little bit more liquid. You want it to be about like so. Okay, you're not covering it, but there's enough liquid that it's going to. That's about perfect. You want some of that meat showing. The idea here is not to make a soup. You're trying to make a concentrated essence from the lamb itself. So that is enough liquid. I'll bring that to a simmer on the stove. Oh, also some salt. And actually, let me just describe something about this, what I did for my lamb here. Anytime you're braising a tough cut of meat, it's a good idea to pre-salt up to 2 or 3 days ahead even. And I have all this in the recipe, but salt really tenderizes and flavors the meat to the bone. So if you're doing brisket, if you're doing short ribs, shoulder, anything like that you're going to braise, it's a good idea to pre-salt. If you're going to roast a chicken, pre-salt it a day or two before, and you'll have much better results. You'll create succulence, flavor, tenderness, all the good stuff. Okay. So I'm going to bring this to a simmer, and then I'm going to put it in my oven, which is only at 250 degrees. Okay. The idea with braising is to really slow cook it. You never want to boil the braise. It should be at a very gentle level. That will give you tender meat and not dry meat. Okay, so once this comes to a little simmer, into the oven it goes. I recommend about after the first maybe hour and a half, you turn the meat over and check on the liquid. If it's threatening to go too far down, then just add a little bit more beer or stock or water. Any of that will work. Okay.
All right, in the oven it goes, and now we're going to move over to Greenport and bring on Greg Jarosky, and he's going to explain to us a little bit about Greenport Harbor, a little bit about this beer and give us a good explanation of how this pairs so well with the lemon.
Well, thanks, Penny. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yes.
Great. Well, I'm Greg Dorosky. I'm the Innovations Director here at Greenport Harbor. And this is Black Duck Porter right here. We'd like to thank Slow Food East End for including us in this wonderful event and for all the good work you do for our community. We'd also like to thank Chef Peter for selecting this beer. We're a big fan of it, and we think it pairs particularly well with roasted meats. Our plan here today is to kind of show you a little bit of the brewery, and then we can go through and taste the beer. Right now, we're located in our brew house, and as you can see, these are the vessels that we cook the beer in. Brewing is a pretty simple process where we just take malted barley that you can see in here at various roast levels, and you mix it with hot water. And the hot water helps us extract the sugar from the barley to create a food for the yeast to eat, to ferment, and make carbon dioxide and alcohol. Beer at its core is a very, very simple process, but it's something that gives us this great, great liquid that people love. So this is our brew house, and we brew about 4 or 5 times a week here, about 1,000 gallons at a time.
30.
And, you know, we make a number of different beers. Black Duck Porter is one of our favorite beers that we make. It's been around from the beginning. And, you know, it's great this time of year around St. Patrick's Day, where people are, let's say, drinking stouts. It's also great over the summer too, with, you know, barbecue and, you know, hamburgers on the grill and all kinds of stuff like that. You know, it's kind of a misconception sometimes that dark beers are very, very heavy. Black Duck Porter is not very heavy. It's nice and dry, a little bit roasty, and pairs really, really great with food. We're gonna take a walk around the brewery so I can show you some of the things we have going on here, but this is the brew house right here. Let's see if this works. All righty, so we're going down the steps right now. And here are some of our black ducks, the black duck decoys that we have around. The Black Duck Porter got its name actually from an old rum running ship that used to run in the bays and the sound out here that was pretty notorious and got into a shootout with the Coast Guard. Coast Guard captured it and turned it against the rum runners and, you know, captured a bunch of them. So, you know, black ducks are common out here in the creeks, but the ship makes for a good story, and you know, we enjoy it. In here is where we take the grain in and crush it in the mill there. And you see right there, all right, good. And that's where we take it to be crushed to aid in extraction. This is our fermentation cellar over here. Each one of these tanks will take one full batch of beer that we make in there. So they hold about 1,000 gallons at a time. Now over here is our main fermentation cellar, and these are the big tanks. These are what they call 90-barrel tanks, and they hold about 3,000 gallons at a time. So it takes us about 3 brews to fill one of these up. And in the summer and fall, when we're really busy brewing summer ale and leaf pile, we're filling these up constantly. I don't know if you can hear it, but there's some bubbling and going on in the background. That's from the fermentation. As I mentioned up on the brew deck, we're making a sweet liquid for the yeast to ferment and turn into carbon dioxide and alcohol. That's what's happening right there. Very similar to baking bread, a little bit different than the chemically leavened bread that Chef Peter's making. But if you've ever made a sourdough or yeasted bread, it's a very similar process. Same yeast, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, that eats the sugar. Now, if we'll go over here, here's some bags of grain right here. We can come over here and try some of the beer that we have. Now we have two different beers here. We have the Black Duck Porter, which is the beer that we're trying tonight with the lamb. And we also have Other Side IPA. And you can see the differences in them in color, right? That's largely resulting from the roasted malts that we put in them. One major reason that I think Black Duck Porter pairs so well with roasted meat is it has some of those roasted elements that pair really nice with the umami that Chef Peter talked about. So this is Black Duck Porter. And it's a great beer. It's nice and dry, a little bit roasty. You get notes of coffee, some cocoa. And to be clear, there's no coffee or cocoa in it. We're getting all of that from the roasted barley. Pairs really well with roasted meats, pairs well with burgers, with shellfish. It's, you know, funny enough, it's one of the beers that we make here that we find in a lot of restaurants. I think because it pairs so well with food, and potentially also because there's not a lot of local examples of a nice, well-made porter. You know, a lot of breweries these days are making IPAs and Pilsners. We're one of the few local breweries that has a full-time porter, and we're very proud of that. Does anyone have any questions?
Well, there's a lot of people saying that that your beer is all-time favorite.
That's good. We love it. We love it, and you know, it's we've been doing this for a while here, and we're really proud of what we're doing. We think beer deserves a place on the table, just like good wine, and goes really great with food.
And how long is the brew time? I missed if you said it. I apologize.
I didn't. So it takes you know, about 3 or 4 hours to actually brew the beer, but beer ferments for anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks, depending upon the style of beer, how much sugar is in there to start out with, and you know, a beer like Black Duck Porter takes about 3 weeks to ferment.
And what would you say is the best temperature to enjoy a black porter?
For myself, I really kind of enjoy beer a little bit warmer, kind of maybe more in the English tradition, in the low 50s. You know, you think of wine, as it warms up a little bit, you get, you know, some of the more nuances out of it and some of the more delicate flavors. If something's really cold, you know, it kind of dulls the tastes a little bit.
And what's the alcohol content in this beer?
The alcohol content on Black Duck Porter is 4.7%, which is another thing that makes it really nice on the table. You know, you can have a few of them and you know, still be all right.
Exactly. You could have many. And somebody is asking, can you find your beer in Massachusetts?
No Massachusetts right now. You know, we're a small microbrewery, and we sell most of our beer on Long Island and, you know, in the 5 boroughs, you know, a very little bit in Connecticut, mostly tied to the ferry, believe it or not. And then we send some beer around for special events. We are right now researching direct to consumer shipping that may go a little bit further afield. It's something we're planning on launching soon. I don't think we'll have a big distribution footprint out that far, but direct to consumer shipping is a great way to, you know, get some fun beers out there to people, you know, a little bit further away.
Great. And I would say, last but not least, this might be a loaded question, maybe a longer question, but how would you describe the terroir of Long Island relating to to brewing? We talk about wine on Long Island. What about?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great question. So we do brew some beers here with ingredients that are grown on Long Island. And for example, the hops that they grow on Long Island, even though they're the same variety that they grow in the Pacific Northwest or in Europe, have their own unique character, that reflect the soil and the climate. And they help kind of define the beer, terroir here. As I think about, Cascade hops that are grown on Long Island, they're a little bit earthier. You have some more kind of pine elements and not maybe as many citrusy elements as you'll get in the Pacific Northwest. But they do, I think they're very, very nice hops and help kind of reflect who we are here. Another, kind of different area that we experiment around with that reflects terroir is using local fruit. We have some great fruit out here, whether it's berries, whether it's wine grapes, and that gives some really nice character. One last area I think is important to look at with terroir is the use of wild indigenous yeast. We have taken just brewed beer in a big tank and actually brought it out into one of the local vineyards to cool. And as it cools at night, the wild yeast kind of comes in and ferments it over time. That's kind of based on a tradition over in Belgium, Lembeck style beer. But, these are all things we're experimenting with. One of the nice things about being a small brewery like us is, we can experiment. We have our big tanks to do some of the beers that you see in beer distributors and grocery stores, but then we can do some of these kind of one-offs that may kind of push the envelope a little bit with some fruit, fermentation techniques, what have you.
Great. Thank you for that. That was pretty comprehensive. I think
Any other questions?
Anyone else have any questions? Okay, back to you in the Chef Peter Berley kitchen.
The food looks great, so I can't wait to see it.
Thank you, Greg.
Yeah.
Thanks, Greg.
Okay, thank you.
Back to us in the kitchen. Actually, I'll tell you, we're coming to my favorite part of the menu, which is the vegetables. My favorite food is a vegetable. So Chef Peter, take it away. Explain about all those gorgeous vegetables there.
Okay, so the time of year we're in right now is, it's really stodgy because spring hasn't hit yet. We're still in winter, and root vegetables are what traditionally, of course, would be consumed most greatly during the winter time. So I love to make just crushed up root vegetables of all kinds. Today because we're celebrating Ireland, we're gonna talk about really the traditional food of Ireland, which is turnips. Potatoes didn't come from South America to Ireland until probably the 17th century, or maybe the latter part of the 16th century. So prior to that, there were no potatoes in Ireland. It wasn't a meat and potatoes place. It was a meat and turnip place. Turnips were the most popular vegetable there. And wintertime storage vegetable. So this is a rutabaga. Okay, it's also called a swede. They're also very popular in Scandinavian countries, in Germany, all Northern Europe. Rye bread, oatmeal, swedes, or turnips. And this kind of turnip is a storage turnip because it has a lower water content. It's much denser than, say, a white turnip, or a summer turnip, or crisp turnip like a Tokyo turnip. Any of those turnips are not storage turnips, but these are. And to even further the ability for them to keep, commercially, they're oftentimes sealed in paraffin wax. You'll see them in grocery stores in wax. But over at Eight Hands Farm, they had some beautiful rutabagas that we picked up, and that's what this is. So you can also vary it with like parsnips are another great addition. Rutabagas are spicy, they're very earthy, they're really rich in flavor, and parsnips are sweet and earthy and rich in flavor. And the sweetness can be a nice complement to the turnips. Carrots are another good choice. So any of those are good. Celeriac or celery root is another classic one. But in this pot over here, I have simmering rutabaga. Okay, and I'm just simmering it until it's soft. So you just want to see, do they crush against the side of the pot? Well, they're starting to crush, right? So they're almost done. Okay, and as soon as you crush them, you can really smell.
Okay,
Right?
it smells
And these, of
delicious.
course, are anything in the brassica family, which includes things like broccoli and cauliflower and kohlrabi and all these things, right, are great anti-cancer fighting vegetables. They're really super hardy, and our ancestors really relied on them. So these turnips I'm going to kind of jazz up a little bit because I'm going to make a spicy garlic butter, which I'm going to crush them with. For those of you who are sensitive to dairy, like lactose, you can do this with ghee. My daughter is sensitive to lactose. She makes her own ghee. Just made this morning. That's ghee. She made out of some good butter. That way you take out the lactose, but I'm going to use whole butter. And I'm going to make this nice little spice butter. So for that, you can jazz it up in many ways. Caraway is a nice addition to this. Cumin works really well. I'm simply going to do garlic and cayenne. It's a very simple butter made from that. Okay. So I have garlic and that cayenne around here somewhere.
One
Here
with
we go.
cayenne's over there.
Some cayenne. Okay. And I'm just going to crush these vegetables with that. All right. Let me just demonstrate how to cut a rutabaga because these are a little bit, I don't know if you've never worked with these. They're a little scary, maybe.
Do you have to peel it?
You don't have to. You don't have to peel these, but I don't know. For me, aesthetics are kind of important with my
Okay.
food. I'm not crazy about the peels of rutabaga. I consider the peel to be more of a protective coating than something I really want to eat. I don't peel all vegetables, but I do for these. And also I tend to peel parsnips. Unless I'm roasting. When I roast root vegetables, oftentimes I don't bother peeling them. Even things like beets, I just roast them. I cut them up and I roast them in those jackets.
And then do you peel them afterwards?
No, I don't.
Oh,
For
okay.
roasting, I don't.
Really
For
good.
boiling or steaming or pressure cooking beets, whatever. For those, I peel. Yeah, but for roasted beets that are not, say, in a foil packet or in a pot or something like that, the skin is actually really cool. It gives this burnished, beautiful look to it. It's almost jewel-like. So I like to keep it. Okay, so we have this. I'm just going to break it down. Like
We
so.
can get a moment to put our eye over
Oh,
here.
yeah.
That this is a fabulous bag. The rutabaga and other great vegetables come from 8 Hands Farm in Cutchoff. And they have donated that beautiful rutabaga and this beautiful bag. So they're also offering 50% off to anyone who was involved. Watch tonight. Go show them your Eventbrite ticket. Ask for Carol. Say you're from Slow Food East End. And she's going to give you 15% off all your vegetables. And now I have a question for all of you who want to win it. We have one winner. And my question is, what came first to Ireland? Was it the potato or the rutabaga? Whoever gets their answer up first will get this great bag over to you. We have to support our partners. It's so important on the East End that we work together with so many of our local farms, our breweries, wine, beer, everybody. So that's what a big part of Slow Food is, definitely working with partners. And partners like our great chefs and our great farms and our great brewery. So along those lines, Greenport Harbor Brewery has been so supportive that they are offering a 50% discount on Greenport Harbor Black Duck through, I guess it's St. Patrick's Day is March 17th. Show them your Eventbrite ticket and you get 50% off a 6-pack. And we have one to give away. This is my question for you. whoever gets this question right first. Who is the founder of Slow Food? Put your answer in, and whoever gets that answer right is going to win a 6-pack of Greenport Harbor. Ooh, right here, Black Duck, yay. Okay, take it over. I had to get my plugs in.
Okay, I'm gonna move on to the salad. All right, I figured, with a really rich, deep, hearty stew like this or braise, and some, spicy turnips, it'd be nice to have a salad that reflects Ireland and also is just a refreshing foil for it. So we're going to use fennel and cabbage and a little bit of raisins and an apple. Yes. Okay. And this is just a really nice little slaw that we're going to make. Okay, so I already have one made, but I want to just show you the techniques. What else is going in here? There's a dressing of half lemon juice and half olive oil. You could use vegetable oil. You could use a vinegar instead of lemon juice. I happen to like lemon juice. So that's just, I just, put this together a little while before the shoot. Let's see. So it's nice to have something that will slice for you. If you don't have any sort of a tool, like this is called a benriner or a mandolin to slice with, you can use a knife, obviously. I'm going to explain about fennel because maybe some of you have been a little bit, I don't know, put off by a vegetable like this. Like, what do I do with it? There's a lot you can do with fennel. It has a licorice flavor, anise flavor, and it pairs beautifully with cabbage. So I'm going to take off the top. I'm going to use the fronds to season with, and the stalks are great. I like to make my fish stocks with the stalks, okay? To even further enhance the fennel kind of character of this slaw, I'm going to toast and grind fennel seeds. So we have the seed of the fennel, we have the leaves of the fennel, and we have the bulb of the fennel. That's all going into this slaw. Okay, so I'm going to start to toast the fennel over here, which will take maybe, once the pan heats up, maybe a minute. It's very quick. And I have something to grind my fennel with. Okay, you could also use, if you had any sort of a spice grinder or coffee mill, whatever. If you don't have a way of grinding this, what you can do is toast the seeds, let them cool down, and then literally chop them up. And that will at least release a lot of their flavor. But whole fennel seeds, they're a little bit coarse, for the salad. So I at least like to crush them. You can crush them with a pot, even. Bottoms of the pot.
Cool, makes sense.
Yeah, especially something like you take something heavy like this, you can crush the seeds. You can do that.
Cast iron pans have so many good uses.
They do. Okay, so I'm going to take my fennel bulb, and typically for something raw, when you're going to use your fennel in a raw state, the outer leaves are too tough. They're too fibrous. If you're going to cook the fennel, you can use this. This will get nice and tender. But if you're going to use it raw, I take off the 2 outer leaves generally. And this is a beautiful, healthy specimen. When you use something like a slicer like this, it's important that you keep your hand up like that.
Very important, because I had salad with a little tinge of blood in there, so I do know the importance of holding it the right way.
Yeah, there's no blood orange in this recipe.
No blood orange. No blood orange.
No blood orange, nope. No blood orange, no blood penny in this recipe.
Okay, so I have my fennel and my cabbage. I can do the same thing, or I can cut this by hand. So I like to core the cabbage. And I'll demonstrate this with a knife. I like to kind of break up the cabbage into a couple of sections. That way it's not so, let me just hold that for a second. I'm gonna use it again. It's not so difficult to shred. And then you can shred like so.
Oh, that's great. I never realized to do it, but that makes so much sense that way.
Yeah, if you just kind of,
You don't have those huge, big pieces.
yeah,
That's great.
right, the huge chunks are kind of make it difficult, so. So you want this to be thinly sliced. If it's not thinly sliced, no, it's gonna be kind of hard to eat. Finished toast.
Yeah.
You can smell that as soon as
Oh,
you,
yeah.
whenever you're toasting a spice in a dry pan, as soon as it's fragrant, it's done. So, you know, it doesn't have to turn a dark color or, and it's less is more.
What else do you like to serve the salad with?
What?
What else do you like to serve this salad with?
Whatever I'm eating. You know, it's a coleslaw, so you could have this with, this would go great with a fish. It'd be fantastic with fish, actually. It's great as let's see, you could make a frittata and have this on the side. You could have this really, I don't know, with any, you want to put this on a burger, you could do that too. It's just a really nice licoricey coleslaw.
I'm excited. I have all these ingredients.
This would go really nice to you if you're a pork eater. If you like to make pork chops, this would go great with pork. Because pork and lamb both, they like sweetness. You know, they take sweetness well. I'm going to add my raisins, and for my apple, I'm going to do the same. I'll show you a neat trick for how to julienne, which is kind of making matchsticks out of something. A way to do that. Convenient way of doing that. The idea here is that all of your apple slices are perfectly even, right? Because of the tool. You have this beautiful, it's a really nice, you know, if you grate the apple, then it becomes all watery and it loses texture. So it's a really nice result to do it that way, I feel.
I have to say, it's mesmerizing watching you chop with your
That
knife.
is- I love the way.
I'm
you
not
chop.
doing anything, the knife is doing all the work.
Well,
Do
you're-
you sharpen your knives, or do you send them out to get sharpened?
I still have my digits.
Yes.
Do you sharpen your
Uh,
knives?
Yes, I do sharpen my,
Personally, you do them, yeah.
yes.
They have those sharpening trucks that go around town and they sharpen people's knives for them.
That's nice. Yeah, I haven't seen that. Where? In
I
Jamesport?
thought in Manhattan, when I was
Oh,
on
Manhattan.
18th Street, they would stop by,
In
sharpen
Soho?
knives.
You know, they used to have cobblers that would not only sharpen your knife, but grate your sauerkraut. They were called kraut cobblers.
Whoa,
You know that in the Lower East Side? Yeah,
Yeah.
that was an actual craft. They would go around and people would bring them their cabbages. They would shred the cabbages for them and salt them. Then you bring your barrel and stick it in there. And then for the winter, you have your sauerkraut.
that is
I'm
awesome.
making up sauerkraut for the whole winter here for my family.
Wow. I'm gonna use keep it in cold storage in the fridge. I see it.
I can keep it in my basement or in the fridge. Yeah,
Okay.
because I have big crocks and I just
Gotcha.
do it. I mean, we're only 3 people here, so it's not like I have to make a ton, but we eat sauerkraut a lot.
And what about red cabbage?
Red cabbage is wonderful. Sure, I make kraut with that. I make salads with it. The thing about red cabbage is, you know, it bleeds
Yeah,
in terms of the color. But yeah, no, red cabbage is terrific. So you see all these fronds are wonderful. Wonderful additions.
I sometimes use the top of those fennel tops for doing vegetable stock.
Yeah, absolutely. And the stalks too. You can also just sort of chew on the stuff, depending on how. This is a good one, not too fibrous.
Very good.
Sounds nice and crisp.
So that's all there is to this. It's a very simple salad. But it's beguilingly delicious. So we have one over there that's finished. I like to let this refrigerate for at least, I don't know, a half an hour before we eat it. That's finished.
So here we have a beautiful bowl.
How are we doing the time?
We're
We have to
good.
finish the
We
lamb.
have to go finish the lamb and do the vegetables, and then we have a whole meal done.
Okay, so this needs to be drained.
Okay.
Here. No, I just need a bowl. Let's see. Give us a large bowl. Oh, yeah, that would be great. Okay. Sorry about that. These are about, yeah, these are good.
Smells so delicious.
I don't like the tight fit of the van when I get shut.
And my butter is browned, which is really beautiful. I'm gonna add my garlic.
She's beautiful and she's brown.
And my cayenne. It smells amazing, right?
Oh, yeah. The whole kitchen smells amazing. And your fennel?
Oh, the fennel goes to the salad. Okay, we
Okay.
forgot that.
So we forgot.
So we're gonna have to do that. I want to show the toasting. We need to grind this fennel.
Okay.
I know, they only gave me an hour. Okay, so, you know what? I have to get some tomatoes, but I'm gonna sit this over here for a second and go to the lamb, because that's just gonna get crushed up. All right. Are you with me? Okay, what I want to do is take a platter.
You know, I'm a vegan. I'm a vegetarian vegan.
Okay. Hey, Penny,
Yes.
do you think you could just take a few of these things away?
Yeah, I can.
That'd be great. So we can just. So I'm going to take my lamb out. And this is totally falling off the bone here. It's beautiful. And, you know, if you want to trim this out really well, there's really no fat on it per se, or almost none, but there is connective tissue, which is so yummy. So if you want to debone it, you can do that, but it's really not necessary. But you can see it's just falling right off the bone. It's beautiful. Now we have these vegetables, right? So this sauce is already pretty well reduced in terms of having been in the oven and slowly reducing over time. But I want to thicken this a little bit, and this is the important thing. What you want to be able to do is it's really taste. You know, at the end of a braise, you've got to adjust the seasoning. So I'm going to just remove these vegetables. Got some whole garlic cloves in here that simmered for hours, so they're nice and very, very sweet. And Penny, in the refrigerator on the left side, you're gonna find some parsley. There's a bag that has some, yeah, I just want to chop a little parsley. You can take out a little bit of it. Okay, now I'm gonna reduce this a little bit more, and I'm gonna finish it with some seasonings. So this will just take a second to start simmering. In the meantime,
Parsley,
I want to finish
there you go. Finish that.
this. I just have to grab some to mash.
Do we have a winner for any of our questions? Did anyone come up with the right answer for who the founder of Slow Food is?
Ralph did, and Nancy.
Nancy and Ralph, yay! Well, the answer is Carlo Petrini, and just so for those of you who may be wondering, Slow Food was founded in the late 1980s by Carlo Petrini in response to fast food coming to the Spanish Steps in Rome. And from there, it was a movement that just grew. There are 150 chapters across the world. There's 150 countries. There's 160 chapters in the United States. We're a movement that is growing. And we're based on good, clean, and fair. And I want to thank you for everyone who tuned in tonight and participated, because this is a fundraiser. I want to thank the chef for giving his time. And this is a fundraiser to help Feed Our Forks program, where we continue to do great things for the East End community. So yay to Nancy and Ralph. And for the bags, did we get a winner to which came first, potatoes or rutabaga?
Barbara Isaacs.
Barbara Isaacs, yay, congratulations. We'll get that great bag to you. And I hope you all get to go to Eight Hands and buy some vegetables and go to Greenport Harbor and get some beer. Peter, take it away.
Okay, so this sauce is reducing, and that's just trying to concentrate the flavor of the braise. It's very, very important. I just tasted it. It tastes amazing as it is. One thing you can do, a little trick, is to pull the pan off the heat, slightly off the heat. It's on the heat, but you've removed it to the side so that only one side of the pan is actually in contact with the source of the heat. And so that any fat will gather on this side because it's cooler. You can kind of skim. There really isn't that much fat on this braise, I have to say. But that's a trick you can do when you're just trying to degrease a sauce quickly without refrigerating it first. If you refrigerate this, then the fat will harden on top and you can lift that off. But I can skim this off the side, the cool side of the pan. Just reduce a little bit more.
Okay, so
Let's crush our
smash our
vegetables.
vegetables?
Yes.
I love the color of that, it's beautiful.
Still nice and hot too.
Oh, yeah. You can just be rough. Anything too fine. Andy, do you want to get it? Want to taste this?
Oh, sure. Mmm,
Isn't that neat?
so delicious.
Yeah, it's just 3 ingredients.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so delicious.
Okay. Now this sauce is reduced to the point where I like it. So at the end, you can do this is just something to give a little bit of a smoothness and also to give a sheen to your sauce, is to mount with a little bit of cold butter. If you don't want it put in the butter, don't, but I love it. So I'm just gonna shut off the heat. And just add my butter and just swirl it. And this will give, you'll see, it's going to glaze, a beautiful glaze, shine. There's nothing really to do here.
Job well done. That's beautiful.
And just, a little bit of parsley.
It looks great.
Peter, we
Hey,
have one.
Really quickly.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about, someone's interested in about your oven? Is it steam, your cooktop? People want to know, inquiring minds.
Okay. Nothing fancy here at all. My ovens they're gas fired. And they're a French style of an oven, but I mean, there's nothing special about them. They're Blue Star. And my cooktop too, it's just a gas cooktop. There's nothing fancy about my equipment. The fanciest thing in my kitchen is my wood-fired oven, which is over there. But everything else is very, very straightforward and simple. My wife did the tiling. Anyway, we're not cooking in that tonight, but.
No, but we
we've
are
got a lot
gonna
in
cook
there.
that another night, have another bread baking class, so that'll be
So
exciting.
do you want to do a little beauty shot of the dishes?
Sure.
Our bread is ready.
All
We should
right.
take our bread out too. So let's put this maybe over on that table.
And we have a great salad here.
I don't know if we have like time to do plating at all. We're pretty much done.
I think people will get to see how beautiful it is right now.
Okay.
I'd just like to give you a few more upcoming save the dates. So please save the date. It's a different night, Wednesday night, March 31st. We're having another special chef series with Ned Baldwin. Ned Baldwin is a chef who lives out in Orient, and he also has a restaurant in the city called Houseman's. And he has a book, oh my gosh, I know I have the name of the book here, and I am.
How to dress an egg.
How to dress an egg, thank you. So we are going to do an egg-centric class. So that's Wednesday night, March 31st. Then Sunday night, May 2nd, we're bringing it back to a holiday again. We're doing a Cinco de Mayo cooking class with our great local chef, Colin Ambrose of Estia's Little Kitchen. So those are our two chef events. And I just have to tell you that we have a few great surprise events coming in April. So really pay attention to your social media, to our website. There's a lot of exciting upcoming things in Slow Food East End. So Peter, what are we looking for?
Oh,
Butter?
the other soda bread.
The other soda bread.
Paul had it.
Oh, there it is.
Okay. Right. So we'll do a little.
Look at how beautiful that bread is. Oh my gosh, it's gorgeous.
We'll do a little plate.
And I'm just gonna put in a plug because what we have here is some beautiful local honey. The plug is it's from my bee yard. And what I want you to know is we still have some amazing gift boxes available. And one of the things in our gift box is local honey from my bee yard, as well as pumpkin butter, as well as Slow Food East End wine glasses, as well as some great seasoning. So if that's something you want, you can check it out on our website. We have just a few left, but it's a fabulous gift to give and give to yourself because the food is in there is amazing. That's gorgeous.
Are there any other questions?
Laura, do we have any more questions or comments, or you're all probably very disappointed that you're not here right now to eat this, is all I could say.
I'm disappointed. I don't see any other questions, except I wish I could stick my hand through the computer.
Or your nose, just the smell, because it's so fragrantly delicious. So,
Oh my God.
well, I just want to thank you all for, again, participating. Chef Peter, to open your home, your kitchen, your knowledge has been great. We're definitely
Pleasure.
going to tap you for more information. And I look forward to seeing you all. And remember, please tell your friends, this is how Slow Food East End this year, because we are going virtual. We can't be with you. We're looking for ways to bring excitement into your home, into your kitchen, at the same time support our Feed the Forks program, where we're really helping the East End community thrive. So again, thank you. I feel like Julia Childs, like I should say like bon appetit, because it's really wonderful. But we will see you all again soon. For those who won our little giveaways, we will contact you. And I appreciate Greg from the brewery, Carol from 8 Hands, and all the people that we partner with in our local community to make it happen. So have a great evening. Happy St. Patrick's Day, and we'll see you at the next event. Thank you all.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody. Have a great
Bye.
night. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you. Bon appetit.
Bon appetit.